I am super excited today, guys. This is the whole reason that I started this show, is so I can hang out with my friends. Today, I'm talking with somebody that's super fabulous and her husband, and I haven't talked to her in 12 years. Today, we reunite on the Fly Filmmaking.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies.
Hey everyone, I am Marielou Mandl, your host for On the Fly Filmmaking, and I've got my lovely friend Teri. I'm so happy to see you, and her husband Carson.
Hello, hello.
Thank you guys for joining me. They are together. C. Griffin Productions.
We
are.
Awesome. Super excited to talk to you guys. Lots of really fun projects, but first off, let's let everyone know where they can find you guys and your work.
You can find us on www.cgriffin.com, on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all the good old social media.
All the places.
All the places.
All the places. And of course, because I apparently have this love affair with Instagram. We're talking about it beforehand, and I'm just like, you have to do more Instagram.
Yes,
all
yes.
the time. It's my favorite.
Yeah,
it's like,
Instagram.
That's my theater.
It's definitely been a project trying to get your work out on social media. It's totally new and different for me, especially because when I started, it wasn't a big deal.
It wasn't a thing.
It wasn't a thing.
Yeah. So Teri and I have known each other for a really long time. We actually met from doing film projects back in Florida 12 years ago.
Yep.
And it I had to dig back into MySpace, you guys. Nobody wants to go to MySpace. But we did a project that was called Zombie Date.
Zombie Date.
And because back then Teri was a makeup artist, and it was this really cute concept where it was a blind date, like two couples going on a blind date, and the one blind date is she's a zombie. So we've got some photos here of the makeup that you did, and I remember you and I having so much fun doing these tests.
You made a very beautiful zombie.
Well, we tried to, this zombie wanted to look good for her date.
Right,
you know? So I think we put on the zombie makeup, and then we tried to put eyelashes on her.
Yes, we did eyelashes and earrings.
We tried to glam her up.
Yes, give her eyebrows.
Yeah, because she was trying to look good for this date, you know? She's a single gal.
Best.
She's trying to find a man.
Yes, and your hair is done.
It was so goofy. We even did blood on the ear.
Oh yeah, that's right, where your earring.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. It was so much fun. So
fun.
I appreciate you.
I appreciate you.
Yeah.
That's
Look
crazy.
at how far we've come from Zombie Date.
I know.
We're doing a little short film on I don't even know if that never got finished.
Did it?
No. But we did that. We've got another photo of the two of us looking normal, more just young and partying somewhere.
Look how young.
Yeah, such babies.
I love it.
Oh, and now here we are. We actually know how to pose in front of camera. See, that was before selfies were super a thing. So
yes.
I'm so happy that you're here. So now, you were a makeup artist then, but now you're doing all sorts of different things, and now you guys team up and you're just a creative production powerhouse.
Exactly.
So tell me about what you guys do.
Well, basically, we both do individual things on the side. So he does a lot of grip work and rigging work on television and film. I still do effects makeup on the side if it comes along, but right now I'm doing art department stuff on the television show, and editing and producing.
Which is awesome. Which is something I tell people all the time, try everything.
Everything, yes.
Because you got to make your money. There's so many different avenues for you to make your money. Learning a little bit about everything helps you when you're doing your own projects.
Absolutely.
And you're networking. So this was exactly something we were talking about right before we started, is that you guys go work on these pro-level productions, take what you're learning there and take it to your
home.
stuff.
Yeah,
Pays the bills.
Yeah.
And then you take it to your own film.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you guys have been out in LA for 3 years?
3 years.
3 years in April.
Right on. And so since then, what kind of gigs have you worked on here?
I've done roughly about 50 television shows.
Nice.
Anywhere from just one day on it and then all the way up to 6 months on it. We've done a couple films that are on the independent level. We've done major motion pictures for big studios.
Nice.
Pretty much, if it's on television, we've worked on it.
Yeah, right on.
It's been a really fun learning experience for the last 3 years. And
nice.
And it's only going to get bigger and better every time. So
especially and this is something that's come up on a few different episodes, that more productions are happening because of the online streaming networks that are just trying to pump out as much content as possible. Like sometimes I'm like, I think they don't care if it's good or bad, because they know people will sit there and it'll play to the next thing. Like you hope that it's good, but it's more volume. Yeah. So while you're on sets, you primarily do rigging and grip. So explain to the kids at home what that is.
Well, pretty much with grip work out here, it was a lot different in Florida.
Okay.
But out here, primarily you can do anything from setting up set walls to helping lighting to camera support.
So like grip is anything that like you grab and hold things. You grip things. It's always kind of how I understood it.
Kind of.
Okay.
Yeah. It really there's construction, there's dolly. I should have prepped before I came. But I promise I do it every day.
Yeah.
But
They're kind of like the backbone of a lot of the productions, you know. So like before
each
lighting
department gets a couple grips if they need it, you know, like camera support, you know, to where you could be the guy just sitting there holding the camera till the operator's ready, which is a very easy, simple job, you know,
but
all
so
the way
important,
down to the dolly grip who has to set up, you know, anywhere from 10 feet, 5 feet to hundreds of feet of track and push it and actually be artistic and be able to follow instructions from the director of photography and really be a part of the creative process, which is what I strive to do.
Yeah. So it sounds like being a PA is really useful, but if you're ready to move up from PA and like get a little bit more into it, going into the grip department is a good place to be on set and observe, because you're learning
You
stuff.
can see everything from, you know, we're pretty much the first ones in, the last ones out. You know, for me on a television show, it'll be an empty sound stage. You start making marks on the floor, start hanging all the rigging, and then set walls move in, stage moves in, depending on the show, audience risers. I mean, pretty much. Then you actually run the show, which is assisting the art department, bringing in big props, or, you know, just kind of sitting and enjoying, you know, what you did and watching the show. I mean, every show is different.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah,
that's so great.
It's great money. I mean, it's really good money, and
it helps
it's
us
a
make
great
our
way
films.
to start.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you didn't go to film school.
No, I did not.
You know, which is I tell people all the time, I'm like, get in there and just start working.
I did the Quentin Tarantino film school.
Okay.
Which is, I watched movies as a kid.
Yeah.
I was like, this is cool. And then said, well, I can make a movie. Terry took me to a film festival right when we first started dating over 7 years ago. And I was, you know, the cool guy, like, oh, that's easy. And
He was
she
very
said,
underwhelmed with the films that we saw, and he me being in it for a while, being a makeup artist, knowing what goes behind making a film. I said to him, you know, it's not that easy. There's a lot that goes into it, you know, and when you start doing all those little things, you learn that you appreciate film more because you know how much hard work goes into it. So I said to him, well, make one. You know?
And at that point, you hadn't yet.
No, I had never done anything.
You'd not been on a set or anything?
I took the script of Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, read the first couple pages, and then saw the kind of structure it had. And then I wrote my first film in about a day.
Good.
And it was only a 10-page short. And then we wanted to get together with some friends and make it. We were going to buy a camera from Walmart and then return it the next day when we were done filming. But we had a friend that read it and was like, this is really good. And he was way far along in his career.
Right.
And he had gear and, like, you know, at the time, which this was 7 years ago, it was like he had a Canon 5D. And we were like, whoa, like, that's crazy. Like, so we went out and he helped us shoot it. And then from the first moment I said action, I said, oh, this is for me.
Nice.
I
What were you doing before that then?
I was in the military.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then that's something also, like, you can start being creative and you can start getting into film at any point. Yeah. You just have to go do it.
I wish I would have known when I was 18 that this is the path I wanted to go.
Yeah.
Because just in the last 7 years, what we've done, you know, in our eyes is incredible, and hopefully other people like it too. But, I mean, we really, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've definitely seen it
Kinda ran out of
escalating, like, from viewing on the outside, just because, like, Terry and I were friends and, like, we were, like, on social media together, and it was, like, one of those that we could never meet up, but, like, you always keep up with your friends, and I just see, like, you guys moving and shaking, and, like, I love that stuff.
It's nonstop.
It is nonstop.
Yeah.
And it even gets to a point where we're so busy on everybody else's show, and it's great because you have money coming in, you're able to pay your bills, and then you're like, oh, I'm going to put $100 for my own movie, and then oh no, $200 for my movie, and then finally it's time to make a movie, and then you get the call for the next job. Oh, we need you for 6 weeks here. You know,
it's hard to balance the two. Of course, the dream is always to not have to work and just work on your own stuff, but the reality of that is, you know, not
balancing, you know, the time, you know, especially if you're a filmmaker out there who wants to write and then direct your own movie. I mean, writing is a crazy process if you want to do it well.
Right.
You know, so that can take, even if it's just a 15-page script, you know, you're looking at 30 days, 38-hour days if you want it to be great. If you don't want it to be great, you can just go from your head and go shoot, and that's fine. And there are people out there who are amazing at that, at just pulling these great, you know, short films and even feature lengths where it's just an outline, and they just go and they do it. But I mean, the more you prep is really...
And I think it took us a while to kind of like really figure out what part of filmmaking we liked doing the most and what we wanted to do and focus on, because when you start out by yourself, you're doing everything. Yeah. You're writing, you're directing, you're filming, you're editing, you're, you know, posters, and you're doing it all yourself. And we still do all of it ourselves, but we've gotten to a point, you know, being on other sets and working on television and doing makeup, like, okay, I want to go more this route. You know, I'm watching other people do a job that I have more interest in, you know, and you learn the different things, which helps you become better at your own projects, but it also helps you realize that's where my passion is.
Yeah.
You know, film is your passion. Filmmaking is your passion. You want to be a part of whatever, but there's so much out there that you can be a part of. And that's one thing we learned too coming out here. I used to have like a naive kind of look at things, like there's 20 jobs on a film and that's it, you know, and that's how it works. You're either this or you're that. And it's definitely not like that. Every project is different. Like he was saying, well, what do grips do? Well, it all depends. It depends on what project you're on, who you're working for, you know, like a makeup artist the same way. Like it depends. Am I doing the effects on this? Am I not? Am I, you know, part of blowing things up or am I not? You know, like there's all kinds of different routes that you can go, especially nowadays with internet and independent filmmaking coming and being a lot more big than it used to be.
When you can take your film straight to iTunes and have it on there.
Yeah, you can have immediate distribution. Like you can have it where people can immediately start looking at it, which is
and pay it directly to you.
Yeah.
You know, which is amazing.
Oh, it's a big, beautiful world out there right now, guys.
It is.
So then for you, Teri, you were doing makeup like the last time that we were working together, and then your path has kind of changed. So talk me through what's happened to you over the past 12 years.
12 years. Well, I was doing makeup and working on films and working at Universal back in Orlando and doing events, and just the more films I started doing, the more television I was working on, I was just so intrigued with how it was being made. And in my mind, instead of like focusing on the makeup, I found myself like kind of daydreaming, well, this is what I would do with this scene, or that's what I would do with that art department, and this is how I would do that, you know, or I would have edited it this way. And I realized, okay, I think my passion is more towards the making of and not just staying back here and just, you know, focusing on makeup. And so then I basically, when we met and he started making his own films, I said, well, let me show you what I know, and then, you know, we'll figure out the rest together.
I love it.
And then that was it. I taught myself how to edit. And I mean, I was editing when I was young. I remember being, you know, on like Windows Movie Maker, like editing my favorite like scenes from movies to music and trying to, you know, I just loved it always. And I went to school for art and design and stuff, so that's always kind of been there. Yeah. And now being able to bring that out in the films and like doing posters and web design and doing all our social media and stuff, like I really love all that.
So it really is okay to be flexible with your creativity.
Oh,
like, don't be so rigid. Like, you went to school for makeup, but it's still okay to go explore these other things, because that is still going to inform, like, you got creativity in there. You adjust to different faces. Now you're adjusting to, like, it's just the same on a bigger scale.
Absolutely. And that's, even when I went to college, I wanted to do art and design and do all that, you know, when web design, we had apples in our school.
Ooh,
you know, we're like, oh,
fancy.
these Apple computers, you know. So that was where I first started. And then I loved monsters and horror movies so much that I was like, how can I apply that to something? And then I got into makeup. And then it just expanded from there. You know, everything is a creative, you know, platform.
Yeah, that's great. So what is it now that you're really drawn to?
Right now, I'm really drawn to editing, and I'm really drawn to assistant directing.
Yeah.
Like him and I just taking a project and making it happen. Yes. Like I really love that, and like producing and stuff. Like I just love having an idea and just putting it to the screen or putting it to life. Like that's
pretty much everything we've made over the last few years. I also shoot it, and so to try to shoot and direct, is a task. You know, there's a lot of people that do it, but knowing that my AD picks up all my slack when I'm, you know.
It's okay. Nobody saw that you hit the microphone.
Okay. Keep my hands down here.
It's totally fine. And if you guys are listening, that was what that spike was. If you're listening on iTunes, please make sure you give us a bunch of stars if you liked it. Give us a comment, and please listen again. If you guys are watching on YouTube, subscribe, give us a thumbs up, comment. You know, show us your films. Send me links to your films, because that's kind of, I want to see what you guys are working on.
Yes, that's one of our favorite things to do, is watch other films and shorts and our friends.
That's how you learn.
Yeah.
You know, you just dissect a scene. Well, how did they do that? You know?
Yeah.
And it used to just be, oh, how did they light his face? You know? And then once you figure that, oh, how did they do this? And then all of a sudden, you know, we're figuring out how they make things in Star Wars. You know, we're just like, well, how'd they get the ship to do this? And then the explosion, and then this and this. So, you know, you start small and then just keep dreaming bigger and bigger and bigger.
Right. And that's where, like, a lot of my friends who just want to go to movies and just enjoy them, like, if at all the movie isn't, like, flawless in its storytelling and I start thinking about production, then, like, I'm just insufferable.
Movies are ruined now.
Yeah, they are.
It's homework.
Yeah.
You know? I can't tell you the last movie I went and just sat and enjoyed.
Yeah.
Because every time you're looking like, oh, that camera, that was nice.
Yeah.
You know, that was nice movement. And like, oh, that's really good. Oh, you know, or, you know, the opposite, which is, that's terrible.
We have certain friends who aren't really in like that industry, you know, and they're like, what do you think of the movie? Oh, we liked it. And, you know, it's like a very short conversation. And then we have friends who are in the industry. We're like, okay, let's go to dinner, because this is going to take about 2 hours to talk about what we thought about this movie.
Here are the act one problems.
And you go through and you have a discussion.
Yeah, I thought it was a really interesting choice that they did that color scheme, and I don't understand, like, this performance, and, like, that's strange that they framed it that way. But,
right, yeah.
And everybody else is like,
what?
I liked it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So it's awesome. So I want to watch one of the projects, or a preview for one of the projects that you guys have done, and this is the Real Ghoul Wives of Los Angeles.
Marilyn Monroe once said, Hollywood is where the stars twinkle until they wrinkle. Well, lucky for me, I never age.
Living in West Hollywood is not for everyone. If you're not put together well, it'll swallow you up and spit you out in pieces.
Living in Beverly Hills can be glamorous, but don't get wrapped up in all the drama.
Living in Los Angeles can be rough, but I'm a f***ing werewolf.
Does this arm look all right to you? Is it a little? Do I need a new one? Is it a little peaked? Yeah, all right. These are new. They're pretty great.
A happy wife is a happy afterlife. A Real Ghoul Wives of Los Angeles.
Drama.
That is super fun and silly.
Yes.
Yeah.
So obviously I love Beverly Hills Housewives.
Yeah.
He does not.
Yeah.
He does not, but I love those TV shows. And I just had this idea, you know, like, what if they were monsters? And then we came up with all these little ideas of where each one comes from in Los Angeles and their story behind them. And we just...
This one, she really took the helm. Like,
Yeah.
she directed it, she wrote it, and I was just there as technical support and love for her.
Yeah.
Because we are married, so I kind of, you know, had to do it. But
Yeah.
it ended up, you know, we got to work with some of our friends, and it was the first thing we did when we moved out here.
Yeah.
You know, so it was like, we got to go film on the street. We got to go to Hollywood Boulevard.
talk
we
about
gotta
on the fly
you know,
filmmaking.
we have to go do all this.
Yeah.
And it ended up being great. And we
Yeah.
had it at a convention where we're showing it at our table, and every single person that came by was just like, when does this come out?
Yeah.
What channel is this on?
Yeah.
And we were like, oh, this is a thing. Like,
Yeah.
oh,
I
people
knew it was
like
a thing.
this.
I know people
Wow.
like the Housewives and stuff. Even, you know,
Yeah.
it, you know, it's a niche. And we really like it, and I'm excited because I want to expand it. I want it to have a storyline. You know, I want the husbands to come in there and the monsters.
Because at this point, it's just the trailer.
Right. We have a couple we pretty much have some footage to put together, like a little episode that just basically introduces those 4 or 5 characters.
Yeah.
And then from there, we want to definitely expand it. The trouble we ran into is, of course, filming in Los Angeles as an independent filmmaker. You know, you can't just roll up in Beverly Hills and start filming. We did, but you can't.
Kind of like
Probably first and last time.
Yeah. Forgiveness.
Yeah.
I went around like looking like a tourist, holding the camera to my eye like I was just taking pictures, but in fact was filming all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So it wasn't the smartest and possibly most legal thing to do, but
Not to mention, you're not really like, it's not like very discreet when you're walking around with a werewolf or you know, someone dressed like a vampire.
Yeah,
you know?
like Hollywood Boulevard, you can swing that, but like some of the other
and that's
places,
funny because Hollywood Boulevard was the easiest one. You know, like
Yes.
the vampire girl walking around, it was very easy. No one really batted an eye, but it was fun. It was interesting.
The hardest thing too is, you know, because we self-finance this ourselves, it's like, what route do we go? Do we put it on a 2-minute episode on YouTube and then do it every week? Do we do 10 minutes? Do we do 30? You know, I mean, you shoot anything over 5 minutes, it seems the price just skyrockets.
Yes.
You know, so we're just kind of in that phase where we're like, we have this great idea, and we know we can do it. We know we can pull it off, and you know.
Yeah, it's on the back burner right now, but we definitely are going to go back to it.
Yeah.
I
think it's great.
It's our first delve in anything television-like.
Yeah, we definitely wanted to do that.
You know, that was we both have done a lot of reality TV behind-the-scenes stuff, so to actually then do it ourselves was kind of nice, but you know, it's all scripted.
Yeah. Oh, and your spoof, I'm surprised it's scripted, these characters. So like the spoof of it, because like I've seen some of these like housewives shows. Like you guys did such a good job.
Thank you.
Making it look like that, and then it being these characters is just really neat, and I definitely could see it taking off whenever you do decide to, you know, start pushing this show.
So.
Look at them. Oh, we got these little profiles of all the characters.
When we moved out here, you know, coming from a different state, a lot of people have their perception of what LA is like, and there's these stereotypes and things, and it was almost like having to explain moving out here to so many people what it's like. What is it like? Is Beverly Hills really like Beverly Hills? You know, and it's like, so I kind of like took the characters and made it that typical LA stereotype that everyone talks about, and just blew it out of proportion. You know, like, where would the Bride of Frankenstein live? You know, obviously she'd live in West Hollywood because she's the most fabulous and her hair is fantastic and she's over the top and she's colorful. You know, like, so I just kind of tried to, you know, keep it real, but at the same time, obviously, not.
And like the dialogue's funny. Like don't get wrapped up in it. Like,
it was very punny. I think that was the hardest thing for him, is I had all these puns and he's like, "We're really gonna say this." And
there was a lot of groans after the tape. You know, the actor would finish a line and you would just hear like.
But those shows are like that. They are definitely like that.
But then when you see it all put together, I'm very proud of it. I really think it's the first thing, you know, where we're like, hey, we're on our way to getting more professional looking, you know, because a lot of our shorts from Florida, that was always my biggest problem with them was, oh, it just doesn't look like a movie. And it's like, because you're on a $200 camera, like, you know, and your lens is, you know, came with the camera, you know.
Yeah.
And fun fact, speaking of makeup, the Bride of Frankenstein is actually not green at all. We did not film her green at all. And I went to go make the poster, and I was like, well, what is she going to look like if I make her green? Why didn't I make her green? It was an afterthought. And then so I edited it's all edited.
It's all visual effects.
That's all visual effects. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So how'd you like not get her eyes green?
Well, you know, it was, there's a reason it's still on the back burner. So visual effects take a while.
That's why when you see, like, you watch the end of like a movie with a lot of visual effects, there's like 10,000.
Yeah, it's like a whole city.
Yeah.
There's one of her.
Yeah, so it definitely takes a while.
It takes a little while.
Gotcha. Oh, that's quite impressive.
Thank you.
That's a neat choice, and I think it's very admirable. So now I want to watch a little bit of Leatherface Pool Party, and we can talk about this. They'll still be able to hear us. But this is a stop motion?
Stop motion, yes.
All right. So what is this about?
Okay, well, back in 2011, we were playing in a band, and...
Together?
Yes.
Yeah. What do you play?
I was the guitar player, and she was the keyboard player.
Nice.
And we had a song in the band called Leatherface's Pool Party. I mean, everything the song is about's right there in the title.
Yeah.
Leatherface has a barbecue at his house, and all the horror characters show up.
Even Rambo.
And we had a really cool idea to shoot this music video, and it was about a month after we had shot our first short film, our first music video, and then we were ready. We were on a filmmaking high, like, okay, well, the next one needs to be even bigger, better. So we had this whole idea to do all these classic and new wave horror characters as females, and then they were all at the party, and then Leatherface was there, and then it ended up being so expensive to try to do that. So we were like, well, maybe we could just try it on a smaller scale, this and that, and then the
Like
band,
literally smaller scale.
Literally.
the band, we ended up breaking the band up because we just didn't have time between work and trying to do filmmaking and all that. And then I said to myself, well, I love stop motion. I have, Jack Skellington's tattooed on my chest. I've always been a huge fan of it. And I said, why don't we do a stop motion movie? And she's like, okay. So she was at work, and I took a Leatherface doll.
Yeah, and a Freddy. We already had like half of these anyway, because we collected them anyway.
But I pretty much just took them, and then I moved them, and then took a picture, just looking online how they do it and everything. And then I said, all right, we're going to do this. So
Awesome.
We went in our garage and built a set, and then took all the toys and we kind of wrote out a story on what we wanted to happen. And then you'd get really far in it, and you'd be like, oh, I want to change the background. So we changed the background, which she matte painted the whole thing. And then we were like, okay, well, now we have to move because our lease is up. So we moved the whole set to an
3
apartment.
times.
Oh
And then
my
moved
God.
Three
So-
times we moved it.
So realistically, what ended up happening is we never really got to finish it. But she ended up taking all the footage that we had and just kind of put it together, and the song you heard is the Leatherface's Pool Party song from the band. And so pretty much that's what we got, and it kind of used it as a, we're proud we did it. It took forever.
Yeah.
It
That's a
was-
4-minute clip. Like, that must have taken
It did.
so long.
It took a long time, and to move like that, and to finally when we decided to move to Los Angeles, we're like, there's no way we can bring this with us. We're just gonna have to
set
rebuild
that
it.
to-
Yeah. And I mean, we'd love to get into like a green screen studio and like really do it and make it over the top like we had originally planned. But for now, we're very proud of it because, like I said before, it's just him and I. So it
it's
was
like what you said earlier about how you got to get out there and try everything to feel like where you want to go. Well, for a moment, I was like, directing actors is great, but these toys, they don't have to be home at a certain time.
Yeah.
They don't talk back.
Yeah.
Literally, they don't really make you that mad like some people can. So
Which is so funny. Like, that's why I prefer to take photos of like buildings and still life and things like that. Like, I hate to do headshots.
Right.
Because I'm
Right.
like, this flower knows it looks like that. It's not going to say like, oh my God, I look fat.
Right,
Like, it's just like, cool, you done?
And this was such a trial and error process.
Yeah.
Is we would work, say 4 hours to get like 4 seconds of footage, and we'd go back and look, and we realized the sensor in the camera took too much light, and it ruined the whole
Not to
thing.
mention the toys that, I mean, like for Nightmare Before Christmas and all those actual stop motion, they build these things to
Yeah.
be stop motion. These were
Actual
little
toys.
toys, that
Yes.
we got that maybe
Limited
did 3 or 4
movements.
movements, so we're sitting here trying to fight this little plastic toy that's top heavy and falling over.
Yeah.
And we also
So-
knew there is software out there that can help you with your movements and stuff, but we
Oh,
wanted
okay.
to do it completely, just almost blindly.
Right.
We wanted to do as old school as we can, and then I was like, oh, maybe I can do, zooming in, and then maybe I can
Yeah.
make the camera move, and
Yeah.
we just tried to go as big as we could for the time. And now,
I was really impressed because there was some like rack focuses in there, and
that's-
there's like all sorts of stuff that was happening. I was like, how is this happening right
we
now?
had to do all the math and everything. So like right here, and then I need 2 pictures here, and I need a picture here, and then that.
Yeah.
It was a project for
and-
sure.
And there's a lot of, I don't know, a lot of problems with it. The best part is when you set your toy up, and you're doing this whole thing. Okay, Elvira's gonna walk past all these other vampires, and they're all gonna look. And you get about halfway, and then Elvira falls over. And then you're like, okay, let's go back to the next picture. You try to line it up, and then you end up having
You
to
have
shoot the whole
start
thing
all
over.
over.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm proud of it. I definitely am glad that we finally got it out there. And
How long did it take for what is out there? How long did it take?
Well, it's kind of weird because
because it's
there
broken
were
up.
so many times where the set just sat there.
Yeah, it was on and off.
You know, so
I would
we
say
would
on and
do,
off for 4 years. 4 or 5 years? No.
It was about
I'm bad
2
at
years.
time.
This is what kept you guys together.
It was 2 years.
Because you're like, I'm sorry, we have to make this relationship work
Yes.
because I need Leatherface Pool Party to come out.
It was roughly 2.5 years, and I say if you said like a 10-hour production day, we maybe did 20 of those.
Yeah.
I would say total, because there were times where, you know, if we're working Halloween Horror Nights, you leave the house at 3 p.m., you don't get home till 3 a.m., and then you wake up the next day, and then you're like, oh, let's go do a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
But then sometimes you just don't have the time.
Yeah, you just
So it
don't
would
have
just sit and sit. There was one time right before we moved out here, I'm like, I'm gonna finish it. I don't know, I didn't finish it.
Yeah, we had actually a apartment in Orlando that was like a studio, upstairs, downstairs. Upstairs was our bed and everything, and downstairs was literally no couch, no nothing, no TV.
Yeah.
It was Leatherface's pool party. It was the set and all the toys and our kitchen, and that's it.
Yeah.
know? And like that's what it was, and that's when we got most of the work done.
Right.
Because it was like upstairs.
Dedicated
we slept.
space
Yeah,
for it, yeah.
dedicated space
And-
for it finally.
And we released when we released this video, was it last year? BloodyDisgusting.com picked up and wrote an article on it, and then all these people started writing us, and we were
Yeah.
like, oh my God, this is so great.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, you gotta finish it. You gotta finish it.
Yeah.
You gotta do it bigger, better. And it's like, but at that time, I'm like, well, I'm not an animator anymore. You know,
Right. Anymore.
like that ship has sailed. You know.
Yeah, I did
But-
that. I explored it, and now I'm on to the
Yeah,
next thing.
I went
Right.
back to people. People no longer made me mad. Now toys
Yeah.
make me mad.
Yeah, because you spend so many hours with them. Yeah, I
Yeah.
did I just wanted to try a stop motion thing a few months ago because I got like a package from a friend of mine, and I was like, oh, what if I make this like stop motion, like unboxing thing happen just to see
Yeah.
if I could do it. And it, you know, it was a like 20-second clip. It took me hours
Yeah.
to move a little mug a little bit across the table. It was so much fun, and afterwards I was like, yeah, I fucking did that. But
Yeah.
it was
The end result is worth it. It definitely
Yeah.
is. But in between, you're like,
And I watch that now, and I'm still so proud of it. And it
Yeah.
was something we set our mind to, and we did it. But now I look at it, and I'm like, oh man, if I could just change the lighting here, because if you're not progressing and not learning, you know, you're gonna fall behind. And,
Yeah.
and it would be awesome to shoot more of it, you know,
Yeah.
especially now working a ton with green screen, you know, and now knowing like how cool your backgrounds can be instead
Yeah.
of just.
Not to
know.
mention those toys are expensive, you know?
Yes.
So, you know, we have this
They're a
story.
write-off though, right?
Yeah,
because you
write
used
it
them in a
off.
project.
Yeah, exactly.
And it wasn't until we destroyed the set that we finally found a Wolfman toy.
Yeah, we spent such a long
Wolfman
time
was
trying to
missing.
find a Wolfman.
That's a shame.
Yeah, and we find them all the time out here. We walk by them
Yeah.
like toy stores and stuff. We're like, that Wolfman.
Yeah. Well, then, like going bigger and badder with your toys, you now have a puppet project.
Yes.
And let's meet this guy. I just think he's
Yes.
so fascinating.
This is our puppet. This is Ventress.
This is for our
Ventress.
newest short film called Ventress.
yes.
I'm actually gonna hold him up to this camera back here,
Sure.
so you can see him up close. Oh my gosh, he's so amazing.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, so tell me about. His name is Ventress.
And
Okay.
it's the name of the movie.
Okay, cool. So tell me about this character and the film that he's in.
So pretty much going with, once we did stop motion animation, you know, my dream has always been to make a movie with puppets.
Yeah, some of our favorite films are puppet
Yeah.
critters.
The Kyoto brothers are like idols of mine, and you know they did Critters and Killer Clowns from Outer Space. I mean, my whole
Yeah, I saw
right arm
all
is
of that.
pretty much,
Yeah.
you know, Yoda was a favorite puppet of mine. Grew up on Sesame Street, grew up watching the Muppets, and just have always that childlike wonder never left. Like I could always go to MGM back in Orlando and go to the Muppet Show and see it 3 times in a day and
All the
totally be
time.
okay with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, there's
So
like
good.
something so magical about the puppets and like about puppets and like the Muppets specifically. I think that inspired like our entire generation.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
And even like I've done some work with Sesame Street, and I was with the guy, and I think we've talked about it on the show before because I just like love it so much. I was with the guy who's the puppeteer for Cookie Monster, and he's standing there holding Cookie Monster, and I see him and Cookie Monster, but then he goes like, we're just like, oh yeah, like lunch was great, like wasn't it awesome? And then I was like, can I get a photo with Cookie Monster? And then Cookie Monster comes to life, and he's like, hi Marielou. I like start crying because I like it's this magic whether you see the behind the scenes or not, there's
Right.
something about that that's just next
Right,
level. And I
right.
hope that this guy gets to be that at that
Yes.
level too.
We're hoping.
You gonna make
Yeah.
some girl
we-
cry.
Yeah, so he makes people cry for sure. Unlike Sesame Street, he goes a
Awesome.
little different route.
A little different route. So let's take a peek at this video of a puppet test with him.
Yes.
So neat. And I think you guys told me this is being operated by 3 people in this test,
Yes,
right?
3 or 4 people. The guy, Andy Heath, who actually made the puppet for us.
Whatever they filmed this on is beautiful too.
Yeah.
Cell phone.
Was
It's
that
a cell phone?
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, they
It's the
got together
location.
and started moving him around so we could see what he would look like, and we fell in love immediately. I mean, we fell in love the moment we saw pictures of him.
Oh, that's not a cell phone. They zoomed out.
Oh, yeah. But yeah.
So yeah, it all started with
He's too
Like the
weird.
articulating tail, and then he's got his arms. Did his feet move too?
No,
Yeah.
his feet doesn't.
And
Yeah.
then his mouth moves.
Yeah.
his feet can move if we need it to.
Yeah, but
they
you
do
probably-
have rod holders.
But we only had 2 puppeteers on our film. And
That is so fascinating.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so then how did he come about? Like, so you guys are fascinated with puppets.
Always
you're
wanted to make a
inspired.
puppet movie. We knew it was going to happen eventually, and we were sitting in kind of like a little brainstorming session with a friend of ours, Chase, and we're like, okay, what's the next short? We had just finished one called Salt in the Wound, and we were ready to go to the next one, and we're like, okay, what do we do? Well, what holiday's coming up? Oh, St. Patrick's Day's coming up. Okay, so here it is. A keg flies in from outer space, and then these guys are in the woods and they tap it, and then and
It's
then
this green
they
beer,
drink
and they
this green
drink it.
beer, and then an alien pops out of them, and then that was the first draft.
That was
I
the
see
first
your
draft.
face, and that's why we changed it.
I want to see this movie though.
we
Like,
did.
I love that stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, well,
it was great, but
So we ended up.
progressed it.
So we said, well, but we're gonna do it with a puppet because we, as much as visual effects are amazing, we want to do as much stuff realistic as
Yeah.
we can and practical. So we said, okay, well, let's do a hand puppet. So we started, we're gonna make our own puppet, and then a friend of ours, Justin Howell was like, I have a friend and he's in England and he's a really big puppeteer. And he may be available to make a puppet for us. So we
Sent him over some sketches and the concept of the film and everything, and this is what he came up with, and it's awesome. And I am so grateful that those type of little things happen where someone who knows somebody who knows somebody, because we could have made 3 or 4 puppets and I don't think they would have ever came out as awesome
As
as this.
amazing
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
And I mean, and that's the thing, that's his craft, that's what he does, and we always talk about trying to do everything in the film. You can't
Sometimes you gotta just let people do the things they're good at.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
and we tried that with this one, and that's why we believe once we release this film, it's going to be bigger, better, more successful than anything
Yeah.
we've ever done,
Right.
because we brought in good people to help us.
Yeah.
We brought in actual puppeteers, and we had a lot of help, and it was really awesome. Everybody that helped on it was like so passionate about it. The actors and everybody behind the scenes, how could you not fall in love with this guy?
Yeah.
So
And I hope that you guys at home at some point get to be near a puppet in person, because it's just so neat to look at it and like the different materials that went into this creature.
yeah.
Then you've got your design, which is super interesting. Then the materials that go into making it, and then the actually like articulating like the puppeting
Oh,
of it.
yeah.
Like so much goes into this guy.
If our puppeteer was here right now,
Yeah.
if every time someone sees him for the first time move, they're like,
Yeah.
what was
Yeah,
that?
Justin
And he
brings
is-
him to life like you wouldn't believe. He's
gives
so,
him his own personality,
Yeah.
and it's the same personality every time he puts his hand in him and
Oh
starts
wow!
going. It
Because
is-
he's an actor.
Yeah,
His,
yeah.
like,
he did puppeteering. He traveled and did. I forgot what it was called, but it's like the Big Bear house.
Bear
or
in the
something.
Big Blue House,
Yeah,
Yep.
but
you know.
he did all that kind of stuff. So
And he comes from a world of live puppeteering, so everything's live. So then when we're doing a movie, he's like, "Well, where do I need to be?" I said, "Don't worry about it.
I'll
I
catch
said, we
you."
got a camera."
Yeah, it was
You know,
very
you just
interesting.
and then all of a sudden he's like, "Wait, I have free range to. I don't have to stay hidden behind a
Yeah.
curtain
Yeah.
so the kids in the audience don't see me." He was able to do whatever he wanted, so he really
he was used to like 1,
brought
2,
it
3,
home
go.
with this.
Like he's
Yeah.
used to 8 counts and things like that for theater, and we were like, no, totally different.
Different game.
Yeah, so it was fun for him too. I think to kind of
Oh,
be able to
great.
do stuff like that. Yeah.
I love that. And then what's his personality like? This character?
Oh, he's evil.
He's a bad guy.
He's a
This
bad
is
guy.
where-
Oh, you a
He
bad
might look
boy.
cute, but but it is a very adult movie.
Yeah.
He essentially rides in on a meteoroid.
Yep.
From outer space and crashes in a man's backyard, and the next door neighbors are having a party, and nobody sees this happen except for one unlucky group of 20-somethings, and they, of course, as in every horror movie, go to investigate it. Just a bad move. Should never go towards the thing that crashed. And,
Don't you know? Have you
Yeah.
never seen anything?
and essentially, he's there and he messes them up pretty good.
We have a full-length
It's,
script that we eventually want to take it to. What we're putting out, the one that we shot, what we're putting out is more of like a teaser of like what can we show that we want to do, on a bigger scale, obviously, and eventually we would like it to where it could be where he has multiples, the whole planet, the whole planet comes
All with
down
their own
and
personalities.
all
and
different
Oh my
looking,
gosh.
big ones, small ones,
Yeah.
That's great. So then whenever your movie does come out or you're ready to start promoting it, come back with Ventress and the
Yes.
puppeteer, and we'll interview him, and then I'll have a photo like I do with Cookie Monster.
Yes, absolutely. We'd love to do that.
I'll cry in like a different way.
Yes.
No, we probably had like such a great time.
Yes, he'd love that.
And I was like in producer mode. I'm working. Like I'm trying to like keep
I would've
shit
lost it,
together.
too.
And I was
Yeah.
like, oh,
I would've
Cookie
lost
Monster.
it. That's
so
awesome.
great. Yeah, so this is great. So yeah, I can't wait to like meet this personality
Yes.
whenever.
We're gonna try to run it through the film festival circuit and get it.
starting early next year.
Yeah.
We hope to world premiere here in Los Angeles. I can't really say where yet.
Right.
But hopefully we'll do that, send it all over the world, and hopefully people have a good response to it, and then hopefully get that phone call and then say, oh, here's the 110 pages that
Nice.
I know you're calling me about. And
Yeah.
then go from there and try to make it a bigger and better thing.
It's being ready for it.
Bring
And then-
puppets back.
Yes, and I definitely have seen that you are utilizing social media well with this, because like even though this movie isn't out yet, there's already like a following for this character that's starting to develop.
Yeah, we're trying to do that. Yeah, it's weird, and that's what's so different nowadays. Because back in the day, you never reveal the monster. You never reveal, the guy, the bad guy. And so nowadays, though, you have to. With social media, you got to get them hooked somehow.
You're
and-
creating a little buzz around it. And I know that there's lots of puppet enthusiasts. Like, I know just like in my circles and like doing work with Sesame Street stuff, like people are still into it. It's just how you execute it and putting it in horror.
Yeah.
And I just like love weird horror movies. Like, I love them. So I was
So do
like,
we.
please make some more like
Yeah,
that.
So do we. Yeah, we try to do everything practical, and we did practical blood effects and
Blood cannons.
blood cannons
Yeah.
and all kinds of stuff. And
That's so great.
Yeah,
I want
it
to
was
be
good
in the
time.
movie.
And it's a
Or
comedy
at least I'll
too.
just do like an interview. Like we'll do like a social media like Instagram story with him.
Yes, I would love that.
It is a very light-hearted horror movie, though.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole thing plays. It's if you took like Critters or Gremlins and mixed it with American Pie.
Yes.
It's the college party. It's that kind of
That
thing.
kind of humor,
where
yeah.
We really we just wanted to have fun with it.
Yes.
We didn't want to have serious tones and we just wanted it to be fun and people to enjoy it.
Yeah.
And to have a short film where more than half of the time the whole reason you're watching it is on screen.
Yes.
And that's one thing we strive for was a lot of puppet all the time and have them be funny and have the characters. Our actors were amazing.
Yeah, our actors were great.
That's good.
Yeah.
Top-notch
great.
talent. We
Yeah.
held auditions. And
Good.
Yeah.
we had 885 people send their acting resumes to us, and we had to narrow it down to 9 people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was very
So-
difficult, but yeah, the cast we got, they're great. It's
That's
like
so
they've known each other
wonderful.
forever, and they just
And we've all worked on a lot of stuff, and I've never seen a group of people who they're just like, well, how many days are you shooting for? And be like, oh, we're going to try 2. And go from there. And they're like, well, if it takes 10, we don't care. This is
Yeah.
awesome. We
I
love
wanna
it.
do this
This is so
project.
much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, can we come back? Like, do you need to stay ADR or anything? Because we'll come back tomorrow. Like,
They want this project to happen, and that's
Yeah.
great when you get the magic like behind a project. Then you're gonna develop this thing that there's some kind of magic that's on set, and that's where like really, if you want to make a movie, go make it.
Yes.
Like even at a small scale, because there's a magic there that you cannot explain.
Yeah, you can't learn it, you can't explain it, you just have to be there for it. And
Yeah.
like that's the one way to know if that's really what you want to do.
Yeah.
If you're sitting there watching something like that get made, whether it's a puppet, whether it's television, doesn't matter what it is, and you just feel that like this is cool. Like
Yeah.
that spark, then that's where it is.
Yeah, like if you go on a set and you're like, man, this is boring, like at least you know. But
Yeah.
like, I don't know a single person that's gone on a set and been
Yeah.
like, this is boring.
I know a lot of people who don't, they don't want to do the set
Yeah.
stuff. They're just like, oh, I'm content with just sitting here and
Doing
and
my one job,
editing
yeah.
and, you
Yeah,
know, or,
but there are
you
that's
know.
all the different roles. Like there's roles for like non-creative people within the film industry. You know, like you
Absolutely.
need to have the, you know, the people who are doing the paperwork.
If you're good at
you know.
math,
Oh,
be
yeah.
a line producer.
Oh
you know,
yeah, there's
handle the
definitely-
finances. You know, it's
Yeah, if there's one thing, I always say, like, there's too many jobs I want to do in filmmaking, but now that I've come out here and I've had over 10 years experience, there's a lot that I don't want to do.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of jobs that I wouldn't even go near because it doesn't interest me. It just
Yeah.
isn't what I'm passionate about, you know?
Right. So
But-
let's give them some practical advice as far as your gear and programs that you guys use. So because I feel like the level, like everything that you guys have told me you guys use is accessible to people. You know, like, so
Absolutely.
you can shoot on your phone, you can edit on like apps and things like that, but what are you guys using now?
well, we have a Panasonic Lumix GH4 at
Which
the
is
house.
fantastic.
And we have a really nice lens for it, a 12 millimeter to 35, and then anything outside of that, we'll rent it. You know, which is really easy process.
Yeah.
And
Which is something really accessible. I don't think we've ever talked about actually renting equipment on this show, but you can like, if you're in the smaller markets, it's going to be a little bit harder. But like if you're near,
there's actually a place. Can I say
Yeah,
their name?
please, yeah.
It's a lensrental.com, and
And they'll
they
ship to you.
anywhere.
I forgot about them. Yeah.
Yeah, and then that's who we used, and it literally we ordered some extra batteries, some lenses, an extra monitor, so the puppeteer
Yeah.
could see everything he was doing.
Yeah.
And it
I think you said, like, the
it came
package was
2
cheap.
days before, and
Yeah, it was pretty
came
cheap.
2 days before, and then you just ship it out when you're done. And
Yeah.
as long as you take care of their gear, you know, and they just have really good customer service.
We used to when we first started, we used to think like, oh, we'll never be able to make it because we can't afford all this stuff, you know, because it's an expensive career. It's definitely
Yeah.
not cheap. But we learned that there's ways around it. You know, you can rent things, and not to mention, you come out here and you network and you meet people, like we were saying, who do these other jobs.
Yeah.
You know, and they're like, well, you have a camera and I have lights, so let's get together and make something. You
just
know?
from making some, you know, little indie shorts with people we know. You know, now we have a friend who has a $90,000 red package.
Yeah.
And then he saw the puppet and was like, oh, when are we doing the sequel?
Yeah,
You know,
so
He's
you
like
just
ready
meet.
because everybody wants to use their toys.
Right, everybody wants to use their toys, but you start wherever you can start. It's
if
just
it's a phone, start on your phone.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
if it's a DSLR, you know, one of the cheaper Canons, that's what I started on.
Yeah.
The T2i, and I think they're up to like T12i
They're
or something.
T7
The
now.
T7?
So, yeah.
Yeah, my first DSLR that I owned myself was a T3i.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll never keep up. That's the
No.
thing. You're never going to be able to keep up.
And I
it's-
still use that camera sometimes. Like
Yeah.
it still works for, you know, depending on what you're doing, you can make it work.
And that's what I always try to explain to people, no matter what it is, filmmaking, makeup, art, whatever, a pencil and a pad of paper is what you make of it. You know,
Yes.
it may not be the best pencil, it may not be the best paper, but if you practice and practice and practice, you're only going to get better.
Yeah.
And you're going to learn what you need. Like, do I need a good camera? Like, what? Obviously, everybody wants a good camera, but what is it that I need that's going to make me better?
Camera's only as good as the person holding
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
Totally, because you might be at the point where you're like, okay, I want to invest in this good camera now, but my storytelling skills aren't up to par.
Right.
By the time your storytelling skills are up to par, there's going to be a bigger, better camera that you could have just held out for.
Yes,
So,
exactly.
you know,
and
you,
even then, 99% rent.
yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody rents.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
And I used to be like, oh, I'm going to own it all. And no, I can't do
No.
that. It's just too
unrealistic.
much.
Yeah, and as far as editing goes, nowadays, editing programs like they do like the monthly where you can pay like Adobe, you can
Yeah.
pay them by the month and you can get however many programs you need. You don't have to throw out thousands and thousands right away, you know. And I use all of them. I try to use as many as I can, you know. Final Cut, Premiere,
Do you have a favorite?
It's funny because I actually prefer Final Cut, but that's only because I spent so many years not being able to afford like other
Yeah.
programs that was the one that came with my Apple, and
Whereas
that
iMovie.
Yeah, it was iMovie. I learned iMovie, and then once I got past that and was able to get Final
We
Cut.
have 3 films edited on iMovie.
Yeah.
And we've had people who work for Apple go, there's no way you edited that on iMovie.
Yeah.
And she's just, yes, she did.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when you only have one option, you learn to work around it.
Yes.
You learn when it says no, you can't do that. You go, well, I'm gonna figure out a way to do it. You
And
know.
I always like tell people like learn how to do it on there. Like sure, it feels like oh the grass is always greener over there, but
course.
it's not necessarily.
The thing is then with editing, what I've learned is, yeah, there are programs that might take one button, You might take one button to do that on that program, and on this program it takes 5 or 6 steps.
Yeah.
But learning those 5 or 6 steps makes it, you appreciate that one button a little bit more,
Yes.
you know, and you learn the process and you learn, and it makes you better. Just, you know, it's like that simple thing, doing the harder way to get your way to the top, you know, like it's easy.
And if storytelling's your thing too, all you need is a piece of paper.
Oh yeah.
Piece of paper and a pen, you know, but if you have a computer that has Microsoft Word, use it. If you have Notepad on Mac, use it, you know, and then when you're ready to really write that script out, you know, Final Draft is the way to go for that, for sure.
It's always a learning process, and that's one thing that, like I said, when I was younger, I was very naive, thinking like there's a way to do it, and there's not one way to do it, or else it would be said and that would be the way to do it. Obviously there's so many different ways to go and so many different journeys that everyone has gone on. Nobody's story is the same, and I think that's what I love about entertainment, is that no one's just like, yeah, I applied at the bank and I got the job and then, you know, that was it. Like, it's a story for everyone. Everyone's story is different, you know, and I think that's what's so cool about entertainment and filmmaking, is you want to know how people got there.
Yeah.
You know, that's a story within itself.
Which is why the whole reason we made this show.
Yeah.
Is because like, I'm a nerd and I'm like, but like, how did you do it? Like,
Yeah,
what's
like, how'd you do
what's
it?
your story? Because they are always different. There is no right way
There
to
is.
get into the entertainment industry.
No.
Just walk through the door.
Just do it.
I mean, it's better if your dad is Steven Spielberg. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah,
I will say
obviously.
it's better if
Yeah,
that's the case.
of course. But if he's
definitely-
not your dad,
It doesn't make you a good filmmaker.
No.
It gives you access.
Right. It
Right.
gives you,
Yeah.
gets you in for sure. But
Yeah. The thing is you got to find what you're passionate about, because then it's, the journey's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, there's heartache always on your journey, but it's, if you really love it, you just keep going.
Good.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. That's a wonderful way to end this interview. Is there any other like last minute tips you'd want to tell to the kids at home?
Just do it. Just go out there and do it.
And Carson's
Yeah.
like, don't do it.
do it, but it, you know, put on some tough skin, because, you know, you're gonna hear no, you're gonna hear,
you will hear no more.
yeah,
It's just no's hard.
Yeah.
yeah,
It is hard, but you'll hear it a lot. But it's okay.
Yeah.
it's okay.
Because at the end of the day, you're still doing what you love.
Right.
Yes.
And that's what's important.
Right.
You know, and if you don't love it, then don't do it. Because there's, you know, plenty of people out there who just love it and never get a chance.
Yeah.
You know, to show their stuff. And
One thing I always like to say is that filmmaking, to me, is just like art. Not everyone's going to like it. It's personal.
Yeah.
You know, it's an opinion. And yes, there are right and wrong ways to do things, but in the end, it is your personal creativity and your personal project. So if you like it, that's all that matters.
Nice. I love that. Thank you so much. Tell
You're
everybody
welcome.
again where they can find you guys on the interweb.
we have a website at c-griffin.com, SEA-GRIFFIN.com. And we're also on Facebook, Instagram,
Twitter.
Yeah.
That's them.
Good.
That's
That's
it.
all your social media.
I think
Awesome. So
yeah.
make sure you guys find them, and you can keep track of when Ventress is going to come out, because I know I'm like super excited for that, and hopefully we'll have you guys back when it's time to release that
Love
movie.
it. Yeah, we'll be here.
We
And
can't
I am
wait.
Marielou Mandl, your host for On the Fly Filmmaking. You find me all over the internet at Marielou Mandl. I'm not hard to find. I'm very public on
Yes.
social media. We'll catch you guys next time.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals.